room.
Hi, everyone.
Coffee and conversation.
We are back.
Get your cups of coffee. Come on and join this conversation. Welcome to our living room. My name's Michael. I'm one of your recovery coaches at Capital Recovery Center.
And I am Craig. I am also a recovery coach here at Capital Recovery Center. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Welcome to our living room.
Good morning, I'm Karen, also a recovery coach.
All right.
Good morning, everybody.
Good to see everyone.
Every Tuesday, 10 a.m., coffee and conversation. We got our coffee. Join the conversation, and every week we will have a different topic that we will discuss. If you have anything that you would like to discuss, you can kindly click the link and join the conversation.
Yeah.
And be a part of what we're doing over here in Cumberland County.
And also, we just want to welcome everyone and let everyone know about our topic of today.
What's that?
And that is
Relapse prevention and strategies that work.
Relapse prevention strategies that work. These are particular strategies that not only we learned about or studied about, that we have applied to our own personal lives. We're just going to talk about strategies and that work with relapse prevention.
it ain't hard. You just have to put some effort into it and just give it a try and start living a healthy lifestyle.
That's
So,
beautiful.
y'all guys ready? Y'all ready?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
some of the key topics, the bullet or the top of these topics will be triggers for relapse,
Number one.
potential signs of relapse,
Number two.
implementing relapse prevention strategies,
Number three.
general relapse prevention tips,
4.
and specific relapse prevention techniques for the holidays.
You know Thanksgiving is coming up.
Christmas, New Year's. We got this season where you're going into these holidays. So we're going to give you some specific relapse prevention techniques for the holidays. That is a very important time when a lot of individuals usually or relapse and go back to their substance use disorder.
And so we want to get ahead, a jump start on helping people work through these preventive tips so that they don't have to feel that they are alone. And so if someone would like to read from the top, and we'll begin this session.
All right, I'll go ahead.
Disconnected.
Relapse prevention strategies helps a person become aware of how to avoid or overcome specific triggers for substance use in their lives. These strategies are developed during drug and alcohol rehabilitation programs, and people can continue to use them at home. It's even a good idea for people to share their relapse prevention strategies with their loved ones to get additional assistance.
It says great, what you call it? It's even a good idea for people to share their relapse prevention strategies with their loved ones to get additional assistance. When you have a particular strategy that you're using, all right, I'm going to have to use my own personal life. When I was early in my recovery and I was trying to get my life together, I was going away getting help that I needed, but I was coming home to my wife who didn't understand the help that I needed from her. So eventually I started sharing with the relapse strategies that I was using with my wife, and she was better able to help or assist me in my process. So when it says that it's even a good idea for people to share their relapse prevention strategies with their loved ones to get additional assistance, because they can better help you in your process if you attempt to, or at least share with them what you're trying to do.
Yes, and that's so valid, Mike, because a lot of times when people come home from treatment and their loved ones may still have this notion or a viewpoint of how they were before they came home from treatment. So
Exactly.
a lot of trust issues have to be rebuilt. And so we have to continue on to convince our loved ones, those in the community, that, hey, you know, I'm a new person. I worked on some things while I was in treatment. I gained some new tools.
Good.
And so I'm going to need your help
In this area.
in this area.
And whatever, you can likewise, you can be a person who have not struggled with a substance use disorder and might have a loved one that's the person that's struggling.
Yeah.
You can learn different tools and things that you can do to assist them in their recovery, even if they don't actually tell you that they need help in there. One of the things to do, or that I learned, my wife taught me, was she used to always say, well, what you doing and why you doing this and why you doing that? Basically, she was giving me an alleyway to go out and use again, because I kept saying, you keep saying I'm doing it when I'm not doing it. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to just go do it. It was an excuse for me to do it.
Mm-hmm. And so we want to encourage those who are in recovery and those who loved ones are in recovery as well, to let them know, hey, okay, I'm here for you. We talked about barriers, I believe,
A couple of weeks
ago. And so we need to help tear down some of these barriers, so that we don't get frustrated in our journey. All right, what's next?
Let's look at triggers for relapse, Ms. Karen.
All right, so the specific triggers for relapse will vary from person to person, but there are certain factors that tend to be universal among recovering addicts.
All right, there are specific triggers for relapse. What that simply means is some people might get triggered to relapse by the smell of the thing that they used to do.
Yeah.
Some people might get triggered to relapse by seeing the thing that they used to do. There are specific triggers. Everybody don't have the same. Some people can smell it and it don't bother them. Some people can see it and it don't bother them. Each individual have a specific trigger. That's why you have to know what triggers you to do what you need to do. I like to label it and say you need to get down to the core of why you do what you do.
Mm-hmm. Keeping it green.
Keeping it green.
Keeping it green, that's grassroots. For those who don't know those terminology, we use certain words as keeping it green. That means stay grounded in your recovery. So a lot of times, like Mike was saying and sharing, that I might hear an old song and it may want to trigger me to think about the good old days, but those good old days wasn't so good because there was consequences behind my actions. So let's move on. So emotional factors plays a significant role in triggering relapse. Depression, anxiety, stress, frustration, boredom, and other emotions can be difficult to handle, and the desire to numb painful feelings can be strong. Many recovering addicts end up using drugs or alcohol, again, as coping mechanism.
Emotional factors play a significant role in triggering relapse. You have to find something to deal with your emotional stability. Me, with my emotional stability, I use my spirituality or my relationship with the God of my understanding. That's what I do whenever I'm having an emotional roller coaster. Instead of me using the substance to try to deal with my emotions that I'm going through at the time. Because honestly, no matter what you use, any type of drug or alcohol that you use to try to deal with your emotional issue that you're going through, once that high wear off, that same thing you was dealing with is still going to be present.
That's right. So you can numb the pain. All you think that you're doing, like Mike's saying, escapism, once you come down off that high, and we used to use the term, I want to get high as a kite and float light and feel light as a feather. But like Mike said, once you come down off that high, or try to numb that pain, in all reality, you still got to face it head on. And so I like to look at it from dealing with things straight on, head on. I'd rather deal with it sober with a clear mind, because mind-altering substance normally lead us to distorted and manipulating thoughts.
Yeah.
And so when we're in our right mind state, we can function adequately and behave accordingly.
When you're dealing with emotional factors, you need to find different coping mechanisms. When you're having these emotional ups and downs, and you try to take a substance or use some type of alcohol, that's not the coping mechanism that you want to use. You need to find different coping mechanisms. Me personally, I love the gym. If I'm going through something, I'll go to the gym and take it out on my weights or take it out on me exercising, which in turns help my own body. So you just need to find different coping mechanisms. I love to read. I love to write. When I'm going through something, if I'm going through something emotionally or not, I already do it. But definitely when I'm going through something, that's the coping mechanism that I always resort to. I go read. I find me a good book and read. I go write, journal, find journal. I go exercise. You simply have to find different coping mechanism when you're thinking about your emotional factors.
And I always like to do a self-inventory of myself. And when I first started out in recovery, I used to do a self-inventory, whereas I would say, how much good did I do versus how much bad did I do today?
Yeah.
And I always weigh it out and say, I want my positive to outweigh my negative. And so I always try to do something to outweigh any behavior that is bad by doing something positive. I say, well, if I got up this morning and I ate healthy. I got up this morning, I didn't use. I got up this morning, I went to work or I went to school. I got up this morning, I had a decent conversation. I didn't get into confrontation. And then at the end of the day, I would say, wow, I didn't use. I ate healthy. My day went pleasant. And so overall, I had a well-balanced day. All right? So, anybody out there that would like to share?
If anybody would like to share, just let us know. You can join the conversation. This is Coffee and Conversation every Tuesday,
That's right.
10 a.m. Bring your coffee.
Bring
We
your
have
cup.
the conversation. And be a part of it every day, 10 a.m. Tuesday. Every Tuesday at 10 a.m. We can go on, Ms. Karen, the next bullet.
All right. Being around people and situations that reminds a person of using can trigger cravings. It can be difficult to get together with old friends if you used to drink or use together.
There you go. Being around people in situations that remind people of using can trigger cravings.
Yeah.
Once you be around people who remind you or you used to use with and everything, you have to do that. That's a self-assessment of yourself to know your triggers.
Yeah.
I can't be around. I have a whole lot of friends that are still that I pray for that are still actively using. I call it being on my turf. Do I still associate with those individuals? Yes. Do I still see those individuals? Yes. But I don't go to their turf. I allow them or ask them to come on my turf. What is my turf? My comfort zone, where I feel comfortable that if I'm around you, I'm on this particular side. My turf is what I call it. It can be at church. It can be around a bunch of people who are doing what I'm doing. But no matter what, you have to be the people you be around in your situation that remind you can trigger you to have cravings for the things you used to do. Pay attention to the people you are around and where you go.
Absolutely. I'm just going to share a story with you. I probably said it before, but I call myself trying to quit on my own. And I remember clear as day, I was down Department of Correction, and I was standing in the big yard, and one of the guys I know that from the street, and he came through the gate. And when he came through the gate, I was doing good for about two to 3 weeks. And when he came and he flashed a bag, and I wanted to say no, but something within me wouldn't allow me, and I went back to using until I went to a therapeutic community. I said all that to say this, people placing things, if you, me myself, I know that I can't go around certain people.
Yeah.
Because that's a trigger. Certain dances.
You can't be around them.
Certain music or certain lingo. I just avoid that at all costs. Now, today, would I be able, I won't stay around them too long.
Yeah.
I would associate with them because I know that.
But you built up more now than
resistance.
earlier.
Right. Before, I didn't have too much resistance because I didn't have the tools. But now, I would talk briefly with them because I want to encourage them, hey, listen, if I can do it, you can do it as well. But I have to be mindful that don't be around that behavior, because once you start glorifying your addiction, then that leads to other things.
And don't feel bad. Don't beat yourself up if you feel bad. It can be difficult to get together with old friends if you used to drinking and do drugs with them. So if you're feeling some type of way about not being around them, don't feel bad. It's okay, because it can be very difficult. A lot of times I used to, not this particular time when I got clean, but previous times when I got clean, I used to always go back and be around my friends. The purpose of me going to be around my friends, I honestly wanted them to see how good I was doing. That was the reason why I went around them. I only went around them because I wanted them to see me doing good. I have thrown that strategy out the door, kicked it, threw it on the roof. I don't care if they see how well I'm doing or not. I'm not coming on that turf. So remember, it's okay for you if you feel some type of way because you can't go around the individuals that you used to do things to with. If that's going to trigger you to have a craving to go back into what you used to do, don't even worry about it. You'll get over it. Keep moving.
Mm-hmm. And so if they call you a cornball,
whatever,
or whatever, I'll be a cornball
and sober.
And sober.
I'm gonna be a corny, sober person, and I don't care what you call me. Don't worry about it. It's okay. Just keep moving. You got it.
That's right. That's right.
Where we at, sis?
Next bullet point: parties and events where people are drinking are also tough to endure, especially in the early months of recovery.
Parties and events. Try to stay away from these things. We're talking about triggers for relapse. Parties and events where people are drinking and also tough to endure. Don't try to prove a point. When you're trying to live a sober lifestyle, do not try to prove a point and say, I can be around here. That's just like me. One of my things I used to love to do, I say love because people only do the drugs and things that they actually love. They don't do things that they don't like. So when I used to, it would be foolish of me to try to go into a crack house and say, I'm going to prove to y'all that I can sit in this crack house and not get high. Because I can guarantee you I will get high no matter how long I have been away from it. But you have to remember, you don't have to go to parties and events to try to prove to somebody that you can go to these events and not use. Until you're able to be around those things, then you're just going to have to miss the party.
That's right. And let me stress this, because here at Capital Recovery Center, we link people up to detox and treatment. And one of the things is that a lot of people get misconstrued that if they go away for treatment for 3 weeks, that they got it all sold in the bag. No,
it's a lifelong process.
It's a lifelong process. Like when I first started out in the TC program, I participated 14 months. And when I was going to assessment center, and when the case, my social worker read my file to me and said that I was going to continuum care. I said, continuum care?
I'm done.
I'm done. I just did 14 months.
It's over, man.
But it doesn't work like that.
It don't work like
that.
that.
I went to assessment, I did some more treatment. Then I went to the halfway house and I did more treatment. Yeah. And now I'm still doing treatment. So I encourage guys, females, males, whoever you may be, don't give up just because you may have done 3 weeks of treatment. We encourage people to continue IOP. Get involved with your recovery and take it seriously.
Sponsors, mentors, recovery coaches. And also remember that in the early months of recovery, this is talking about the early months of recovery. What I had to endure in the early months of recovery, I mastered later in my recovery. The things that I had to do early in my recovery, what I mean early, I mean like the first 3 years of my recovery, I considered that my early years. The things that I had struggled with or I was finding tempting, now at my 12th year, those things are easy to me. I'm talking about you being strong and being built up in your early recovery. Don't try to take on something that somebody who has 20 years removed and you see them at this, well, I see him going to that party, but that's not you. You have to build yourself up to that particular area. It's different stages of your recovery. You have early recovery. If you're in your early stages of recovery, and for me, I put my own early stages of recovery between the 1 and 3 year mark, because I always achieved things between that time, and then I went back. I never got past it. So I always made those my early years, and those are the times you have to build yourself up. In the early months of your recovery, do not try to prove people wrong or prove yourself right that you can do some things. It's not worth it. All right.
All right, sound good to me. Anybody out there would like to?
If you would like to share, remember you can click the link and to join our conversation if you have something you would like to say. If you don't feel comfortable sharing it with us on the live, you can always inbox us, contact any of us, and we'll get back to you. If you have anyone that needs any connections, we have the Recovery on Wheels out today in Millville. You can go call us 1-800-236-2448, or you can also call 856-391-7449. That's the Capital Recovery Center, and we are here to connect you to all the resources that you possibly may need. Let's roll.
Let's roll. We on the road this morning. Coffee and conversation.
Get you some coffee. We got the conversation.
Wake up, wake up, wake
Wake
up.
up, wake up.
All right. So next bullet point is potential signs of relapse.
Go on.
Potential.
The potential signs of relapse can manifest in certain moods, behaviors that can signal a person that is going down the path of relapse. Here are some potential signs. So the first one is secretiveness.
It says she's talking about potential signs of relapse. The potential signs of relapse can manifest in certain moods and behaviors that can signal a person is going down the path of relapse. These are signs that your particular individual, no matter who they are, is possibly headed down the road of relapse. And the first one was what?
Secretiveness.
Secretiveness. Oh, man. If they start keeping secrets from you, yeah.
Faking the phone. We call that faking the phone. That's when somebody, in TC terminology, when we used to be in group and we look out the window when a guy is on the basketball court, when he should be inside the group getting some treatment, we used to call that he's out there shooting dope.
Yeah.
He wasn't literally shooting dope, but he was playing hooky from his recovery. So he was being very secretive that he didn't want no treatment. And so take your recovery very important. And come on out and don't be ashamed of your recovery.
That's one of the things you can tell if you have a loved one and they starting to be sneaky or being secret about things. You ask them, where you was at? I was over here. Where you was at? I was over here. What you doing? I couldn't. Did you see me calling you? Yeah, I seen you, but I was carrying a bag. Listen, when you start this secretiveness, that is one of the signs that a person is headed to relapse. It might not be a full-blown relapse. It might be a slip, or it might be a relapse. It's something, though. You have to remember the secretiveness is a sign that they're headed that way. What's next?
Spending time with friends or associates you've used with in the past or suppliers of substances.
Oh, man. Whoa. You definitely don't want to be around your supplier.
No.
That's a warning sign right there. You know, a light bulb should go off. Beep. No way. Don't want to go down that route. And hanging out with guys that still using.
Yeah.
You know?
Why would you be hanging around? Because a lot of times people use as an excuse, I want to lead them to their sobriety the same way. Well, let them come the way you came. Spending too much time with your friends and associates that you use with, it's not a good situation. I don't care what stage of recovery you're currently in, early, middle, or late. It doesn't matter. And definitely hanging around with your supplier. If you hang around with the person who used to supply you drugs. I remember one time my client, when I was doing counseling interning, and I had a particular client, and all he used to complain to me about was drug facilities or rehabilitation centers is only want to deal with you because of money. And I used to say, the facilities only deal with you because of money. And I said, what you think your drug dealer dealt with you because of?
Yeah.
The only reason he had a relationship with you is because of the money.
Yeah.
If you wasn't making him any money, he didn't have a relationship with you.
Yeah.
So if you hanging around with your supplier, you have to be mindful that the only reason that they want you around is not because you're clean, trust me. It's because they hoping that you go back to use it because you was the person that brought their home.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
And now you got to be careful and listen to some of the triggers, terminologies that people use. You know, your friend may say, "Come on, man, just take one bump." You know, that word there, it may trigger familiarity.
Yeah. Just
term.
take one.
Yeah, just take one bump or just take one hit.
Yeah, one hit. You
come
ain't
on.
took one since 1941.
Yeah,
But
you mean tell me one gonna send you over the top?
Yeah, one
will send me over the top.
Yeah.
So cause one gonna add up to two and
Yeah.
God knows what else. But listen, be careful. Listen to all the triggers and signs. Those are warning signs that you guys we all have to pay attention to. Not just people out in the audience, but we all, those who are in
secretness and spending time with your friends or associate, and especially your drug dealer.
Mm-hmm.
What we got next?
Spending time in places you once used or places centered on using, such as wild parties.
Wow, man. Spending time in places you once used. It's like, again, the person that used to use crack and they're all crack, but they're hanging at the crack house.
Yeah.
That don't even matter.
Yeah.
If you're doing that, eventually you're going to use. So spending time, these are potential signs of relapse. If you're noticing that you're spending time at the liquor store, I had one guy, he was actually a friend years ago. He went home from a program, he came back and he had relapse. And I kept asking him when he came back, I wanted him to tell me what he did when he left the program that I was currently in. And he said, why you keep asking me about what I did? I said, because I don't want to make the same mistakes. And the only way I will learn from it if you tell me exactly what happened when you left this program, because I was still there. He came back. He says that when he went home the last time, he would always go to this liquor store. He was still smoking cigarettes. He said he would go to the liquor store to buy cigarettes. And every day he would go buy cigarettes. Every week he would go to this liquor store buy cigarettes. Mind you, this is the same liquor store he used to buy his liquor. So eventually he started buying, let me get a nip. He said he used to buy one of them little shots of dollar drinks. Next thing you know, he was full-blown back on heroin and everything.
Absolutely.
But that's where he made his mistake, going to places where he used to use. You can't do that. I don't care if you're doing just getting cigarettes or something. If you used to frequent these places, you can't spend time in those places. It's a trap.
Relapse prevention is all about addressing behaviors. And if you're not aware or acute to the behaviors that you were accustomed to, you may fall into those traps, like Mike was saying.
Yeah.
I remember me and a guy we was discussing said, you know, if I was to go to a bar, would I be able, you mean to tell me I can't, now that I'm in recovery, I can't go to a bar? And so we used to weigh the options like, no, you shouldn't go to a bar because, he said, well, even if I don't drink, you mean to tell me that's going to interrupt my recovery?
Yeah.
And we say, yeah, because there's other activities that
Going
can
on at
go
the bar.
on in the bar that can trigger you to respond in a negative way. So refrain from environments or situations that can cause you to relapse.
Any places like that. How you doing? Is that Esther?
Yeah.
All right, Miss Esther.
Good morning, Esther.
Welcome to Coffee and Conversation. All right, we talk about relapse prevention strategies that work, and now we talk about potential signs of relapse, and the next one is?
Moodiness and mood swings.
Everything gets on your nerves now. Listen, when you, I'm telling you proof, I'm telling you something I live.
Yeah.
When you're in, you can tell a person, it has potential signs of relapse. everything gets on their nerves. This is bothering me. I don't like how this is. I don't like it's. I call it the woe is me days. Everything, something's wrong. Every time you turn around, and something's wrong. The cat got out. The dog did this. The eggs ain't right. The milk's sour. There's something always wrong. These are mood swings. This is a telltale sign of a person is in the process of possibly going back to relapse. I'm talking about people who are in the sobriety field or in the recovery process. Everything seems to get on their nerves. This is another one that's not on this list. Everybody talking about recovery. When you hearing somebody that they don't want to hear about recovery, that's in recovery, that's a telltale sign that they possibly relapsed or they're on the road back to relapse. Everything about recovery, they like, I don't want to hear about that. Hold on, you was just the recovery king or queen. Now you don't want to hear nothing about it.
Yeah, TC Monster. We should call them TC Monsters. That was a therapeutic monster. Guy know more about the program than the program itself. And so you have to really have to be aware of mood swings, because mood swings can throw you off. You know, we used to be around guys, and you know, once they got that stuff in them, you know, oh man, I love you, man. I heard a rock over you. Yeah. But when they ain't got it in it, you can't get a hello or a hi out you, because now they are moody because they not under influence. I want to be me every day of my life. I don't want to let no substance or mood altering substance dictate or define how I should behave even at any given moment of the day. So is there someone that would like to share? Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah. Could you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Working in the clinical sense, in the clinical side, I used to see that when I used to do groups. One day, this person will come up and he's okay, he'll share, and then the next day he's like, don't even look at me because I'm not saying anything.
Yeah.
So it was, at first I was like, wow, what's wrong? But then I noticed that they have a lot of mood swings, especially when they're detoxing and they're trying to work the program. Yeah. They do have a lot of mood swings. And so I had to adjust to how they react, how they look, how they reacted. If they didn't want to talk, all right, that's okay. I'll skip the next one, because if you try to force them, then they'll really get angry. They'll get angry, and they won't talk, and they'll just get up and leave the class, leave the room.
Yeah, that's true.
So I experienced a lot of moodiness in the program, from females and males.
Absolutely.
From both ends.
Absolutely. People like to shut down, put up a wall or escapism, and when a person like having a bad mood swing, like you said, give them some time to come around, because a lot of times they be dealing with issues that unbeknown of us that we don't know about.
Right.
So
you're right. And another thing that I noticed too is trust.
Oh.
Sometimes they would tell me, or they'll say, I don't know if they use this as an excuse, but they'll say, I'm not speaking because I don't trust nobody in this room.
Yeah.
So, so trust also is a big issue.
Yeah.
When you do groups, and sometimes they'll talk to you one-on-one, but when they're in a group, they won't open up.
Yeah, and that was the first one we were dealing with.
Yeah.
Secretiveness, yeah.
The moodiness and the mood swings is actually a normal trait. We all go through moods, different mood swings and everything generally. But what happens is when somebody is struggling with a substance use disorder, they have used the chemical as a coping mechanism. So now that you took that away from me, I don't even know how to act when I have these mood swings. When really, in all reality, even if you never had a substance use disorder, everybody go through mood swings. I don't
True.
always feel like I'm a very passionate, enthusiastic, and encouraging type of person. I had to sometimes work my own self up to encourage my own self because every day I don't
Right.
always feel this way. I just have mood swings, but I use a different coping mechanism than I did before. So everybody has mood swings, but when you take the substance away and then they get the emotion, they like, okay, normally I just use this to deal with that. Now what do I
Right.
do?
It's called life skills.
It's called life skills.
You know,
Right.
what do you
Right.
do?
Right.
You
You're
know,
right.
On life terms. How do you respond?
Yeah.
You know, on life terms. Do you when you're faced with a challenge, do you just fold and run or quit, or do you?
Yeah, we was talking about that yesterday.
We were talking about that yesterday, right? And so we always encourage people that listen when things get out there. Young Karen, Miss Karen.
Lack of proper grooming habits.
Whoa. Now,
Lack of proper grooming habits. Now this is a challenging one because when you come up on this particular side of walking a different lifestyle and you're changing your grooming habits, we're talking about you got the process started about changing and now you're resorting back to not having your stuff properly groomed. When you do that, then it's like a telltale sign, like you just abandoned ship on shaving, cleaning yourself. That's a sign that something's not right.
yeah. Not only externally but internally, because you begin to lose weight. People, say, man, you was just 210 pounds. Now you're down to $100, $1.25, $125. And so it brings up people awareness and say, wow, is he all right? I definitely want to be concerned. So when we talk about grooming and health, that's a all around scenario, because you want to also get checked out with your dental appointment. You want to get checked out with your physical, with your primary physician.
You need all that.
You need all them things. We can do what they call a superficial makeover, but we want to do a profound, substantial cleaning or purging, may I say, because I remember when I was, I may look shine like a diamond now. That's a joke, but anyway. But I remember when I was dusty, busted, couldn't be trusted, and everything else. But when you get yourself together, you begin to have a different outlook on life. You want to wear some nice smelling perfume or cologne, and want to shine your bald head up.
Get a haircut. Get a haircut. I mean, listen, I want to get a haircut. Take care of yourself. Treat yourself.
Treat yourself to some hygiene. That's good. Next move. Next one.
Poor eating and sleeping habits.
Poor eating and sleeping habits. Poor eating and sleeping habits. These are signs of potential relapse. When you see somebody in their they already was in their recovery process, and you seen them and they starting to get early recovery and they taking care of themselves, and then out of nowhere you start seeing them loss of sleep or they eating one time a day. These are signs that you have to ask, if you have a client or you have a recovery coach or recovery or participant or sponsee, whatever, and you see them going through these processes, or you particularly are going through those processes, then you have to pull it up and find out what's going on. You're not eating right. You're not sleeping right.
Yeah.
These are all potential signs of relapse.
And also, I found it very important for me to develop a schedule, a structural schedule for myself, because I remember a lot of times when I was using, I wouldn't even go to sleep at proper hours, and people used to tell me, say, you ain't gonna be able to hold down a job if you going to bed late and expect to get up early. And so I started developing a schedule or routine that, hey, if I want to maintain and sustain my job, place and employment, I'm about to take my butt to bed.
You better.
I can't play Nintendo or get high all night. I need to go to bed so early so I can get up early in the morning. and also work on some things that would be beneficial to my lifestyle.
Poor eating habits and sleeping habits is always a good sign that you can see that's potential relapse. When you see an individual losing a lot of sleep, when you're sleep deprived, your thinking is off. Like I know when I don't get a proper enough amount of sleep, my thinking is messed up. And if I'm tired and I'm doing something, I will put off what I'm doing and just give me some rest. Yeah. So one of the telltale signs or relapse signs, if you see a person that's lacking sleep or their eating pattern is thrown off, then it's time to try to help them in any area you possibly can. Mm-hmm. What we got next?
And could I say something?
Yes, ma'am. You sure can.
Also, from my observation, on the female side, they would drink so much coffee and a whole bunch of sugar.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
This is like an every day they would drink, they had to have coffee, black coffee and sugar.
All day long.
All day long.
That's right.
So that gave them like a boost. And then when they go out to the stores, what would they buy? Candy.
Yeah. And you know.
And huh?
Go ahead.
And some of them, their teeth was all bad. And here they are, they're eating candy, and then they complain about a toothache.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I would tell them, try to eliminate your candy and your sugar intake. And it was like, to them, it was like an addiction also. They became addicted to sugar.
Yeah.
They became addicted to coffee.
That's right.
And with the guys, the same thing. The guys will get up, the first thing they do before they even brush their teeth is make coffee.
Yeah, and that is so true. Caffeine and sugar, that can be addictive because it's a replacement. We used to call that switching one addiction for another.
Yeah,
and so people they take sugar so much intake that in the course of the day they may be up.
Then when that thing drop,
then they crash. They start mood swings. They get headaches. Irritable and all that stuff. You're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You need to balance.
So
you need to balance it. You need to balance how much intake you're doing on all of it. You have to have some type of balance.
Yeah.
Right.
And that takes.
I remember in Sea Caucus, they saw that the girls was drinking so much coffee, so what they did is they cut the hours on coffee. Mm-hmm. And they did get upset because it was a change. So they could only have coffee maybe like 3 or 4 times a day. Yeah. And that's it.
Some facilities.
And at night they couldn't have coffee.
Some treatment facilities stopped allowing people to have coffee too. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, when you take away coffee, then you take away their participation. They don't want to come because there ain't no coffee.
Exactly.
It's the amount of sugar intake that's the problem. What we got
What's
next?
the first thing that they do? Like I used to take the girls to NA. The first thing they do is go to the kitchen and get coffee.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, it's, it's coffee. I mean, it's good maybe 1 or twice or even 3 times. But when you drink coffee continuously with a lot of sugar, it's a lot.
This coffee and conversation, but this is only my second cup.
This is only my first, but
that's his first.
I'm still knocking it down, but I ain't got too much sugar.
That's a big. Listen, that's a big cup, though.
Yeah. That's a big cup, and my cup says, make today count.
Okay.
And mine says, trust the journey.
Trust the journey. Make today count. That's our words of encouragement right there. Make today count and trust the journey. Let's move.
That's good.
Yeah.
We're going to finish out these bullets right here. And then next week we're going to do part 2, which will be implementing relapse prevention strategies, general relapse prevention tips, and specific relapse prevention technique for the holidays. That'll be perfect because we'll be getting you right ready for that turkey.
For that gobble gobble.
So we'll do that. We'll finish this out and then we'll do that part 2, guys. All right?
All right, sound good to me.
Let's do it. Let's finish these all.
Alright, so next bullet point is romanticizing past times of use.
Glorifying your addiction.
Glorifying your addiction.
This is saying romanticizing past times of use. When sometimes we hear the terminology or we use glorifying your addiction is because you hear people conversations and all of their conversations is about what they was talking about when they were actively using. If you pay attention to those conversations or you listen to those conversations, notice that they never bring up the past bad things that happened when they was using. It was all the so-called good times, as if there was any. Like, it wasn't good.
That's true.
So
That's
people
true.
this is a warning sign of relapse. If you come around individuals and that's all they're talking about, their past time when they was currently using drugs. We used to do this when we was using. We used to do this when we was using. We used to do this when we was using. I ain't got too much time to go backwards. So when you see that, you know a person is either on their path to go back to relapsing or they're in the danger zone, I call it.
Yep. We call those triggers. Because they dwelling on the things that crave their craving. So a lot of times when we used to be in group settings, we have to tell people that glorify their addiction to bring it back, because now they outside. Bring it back. All right, so we need you to bring it back.
Bring it back.
And let's work on our recovery, because a lot of times when you out there talking about how much you did and how much you used to do and how much money you used to get, all this, that, and it's not serving you no good or purpose. We need to stay focused on our recovery.
That's right. What we got next here?
That's good.
Depression.
Oh, that's just the person in the depressive state is always need emotional stability. When a person go into depression, this is what I've learned from my own personal life. My spiritual advisor, mentor, or whatever you would like to label him, when he asked me about something that I was depressed over, he says, notice that the same thing you're depressed over is the same thing you could do the opposite way. And I didn't understand what he mean. He said, in order for you to get to the depressing state, you have to think about a problem over and over and over again. So he makes sense. In order for you to get there, you have to think about something bad or something bad that has happened over and over and over again. And my spiritual belief tells us to meditate on good things. Think about the good things over and over and over again. So all the things that will put a person in a depressive state, if they change their mindset and think about the good things over and over and over again, it's like digging them out of a hole. They will come out of that particular hole. But depression is a sign, is a potential warning sign of relapse if they're in a depressive state. I recommend getting them to some type of mental, connect them to some type of mental connections, if you will, or some type of spirituality. That's what I use personally.
That's good.
Anyone like to share?
Yeah. I heard a pastor say you can have two thoughts at the same time in your head. It's either going to be negative or you're going to put something positive to take away that negative thought. You can have two thoughts in your head.
Yeah.
Understand? If you're thinking negative, like Mike said, negative, then substitute that with something positive. And then that maybe that will help you in your recovery. That will help you in your attitude or the way you're viewing life at the moment, the way you're feeling at the moment.
Absolutely.
That substitute part is something that my spiritual advisor actually told me too. Because whatever I was depressed about or stressing over, he said exactly what you said. He said both of them can't go on at the same time. And the example that he told me to use, he says, I'm going to show you. He said, in your head, I want you to count to 10 in your head without verbalizing it. He says, I want you to count to 10 in your head silently. And he says, when you get to 5, I want you to say Michael. And I said, why? He said, just do it. So I shut up and I started counting inside my head, and then I said, Michael. He says, what happened to the counting? I stopped. The counting stopped once I said Michael, because you can't do both at the same time. It was impossible for me to say Michael and keep counting. He said that's exactly how you can defeat being in a depressive state. It's impossible for you to keep counting in your head and then verbalize something. That's the same strategy that he gave me.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good
that's
stuff.
So good.
Positive,
That's correct what you said.
That's right. Positive reinforcement. I like that.
We got 2 more. We rolling.
We rolling. Coffee and conversation. Welcome to our living room.
Welcome to our living room. Tuesday, 10 a.m. Get your coffee. We got the conversation.
All right.
Next bullet point, irritability.
Irritability. Everything gets on your nerves.
Yeah, I can't take it.
I can't take it.
Every time you wake up, you just slamming the door.
Yeah, you slam the door.
You ain't even said good morning yet.
He's so irritable. They said we giving you raises. I don't want it. Everything irritates you. Everything. When a person that everything is irritating them and they're in the recovery, or they're walking in the roads of recovery, and everything gets on their nerves, then you gotta check it out. These are potential warning signs of relapse. We're talking about potential signs of relapse. And if someone is always irritable, they can't put up with anything. It amazes us, though. It amazes me that when I was actively using, I put up with everything. But as soon as I tried to change my life to live a better life, everything irritated me.
Yeah.
Which really is not really true, but I just used it as an excuse.
Right.
All right, next one, discontinuing participation in recovery activities such as support group meetings.
There you go. This is what I was talking about. Remember I said you can always tell somebody they was heavy in recovery, they was heavier in their spirituality, they was heavier in there, they was heavier with mentorships and all that. Yeah. And then out of nowhere, boom. They just stopped wanting to be a part of it. That is a telltale sign that a person is either headed, they either slip or relapse, or they're headed for it.
Yeah. And I shared this with Mike yesterday, and I was telling him when I came out, I was on parole, and my first parole officer, as long as I was going to work and my urine came back clean, I didn't have to worry about no NA meeting or AA meeting. But they transferred him to a different location, and I got a new parole officer. And don't you know, this guy said, he said, I want you to go to NA and AA. I said, man, the other officer didn't want me to go to NA. He said, I don't care what the other officer said.
I ain't him.
I ain't him, and you going to NA and AA. And you know what? When I did go in there, I heard some interesting stories from guys that had a lot of years. I went right here at St. Andrews, right here in Bristol. And I said, let's sit down here. Older gentlemen talk about their years in sobriety and recovery. And then I heard one gentleman say, you know, after being in recovery for 25 years, they slip or they relapse. And so that, I never could really at that time say, wow, how do you mean tell me you've been in recovery for 25 years and then you relapse? So it can happen, but don't let that stagnate your growth and say, oh, just like you talk about
he ain't make it, I can't.
Yeah, like the 5 stages of change. You know, you don't have to go all the way back to pre-contemplation stage. You can go back to active stage and start from there. And so we just want to encourage everybody that's maybe listening or watching that, hey, if you slip or if you relapse, seek help and seek somebody that can get you help.
Get back up. So today we was talking about relapse prevention strategies that work. And next week we're going to do part 2, implementing relapse prevention strategies. And if you're out there and you would like to join, you can always find it, click the link and join our conversations. If you need any help, connections, or connect anybody to any type of treatment, call us 1-800-236-7448. 7449 856-391-7449. 856-391-7449.
Ain't Row is in the community?
Row is in Millville, New Jersey today from 10 to 2. If you have any loved ones and that's in the Cumberland County area, the Recovery on Wheels is